Ma'am, Mr. Kant has joined the meeting.
Okay. Our students have to join, no?
Yes, ma'am, they're joining.
No. Hello, Mr. Krishnakant. Hello. Hello. Am I audible, Aarti? Muskan?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Mr. Krishnakant has joined.
Yes, ma'am, yes.
No?
Kant sir has joined, ma'am.
I think he is seen now.
Mr. Krishnakant, good morning.
Ma'am, namaste. Myself, I'm Krishnakant. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I'm operating remotely because I have to receive the Australian delegation in here at Visakhapatnam.
Oh God.
So, nevertheless, I should be able to manage with the presentation. So that's the problem with the that's the only glitch. Anyways, I'm available, ma'am. We can go ahead.
Okay. You are working with AMTZ, is it? Tell me something about you, because we didn't receive any CV.
Ma'am, just allow me a minute.
Are you sitting in the airport?
Well, no, sir. I'm at
He is in the
Radisson Blue.
vehicle
That's the place where. Anyways, I'm just sorry, sir. Sorry for the delay. Very good morning, everyone. This is Krishnakant. I'm working as a senior scientist with Andhra Pradesh Medtech Zone. I currently am associated with the incubation center, which takes care of the startups and innovations. And I also handle 5 to 6 manufacturing partners within the campus who are setting up their manufacturing plants and to coordinate for their operations in the campus. Beyond this, I also take care of Think Lady facility, which is one of our common scientific offering within the NTZ campus as the nodal officer to handle their procurement and any of the operational issues. I will give you a brief about what AMTZ is and what is this common scientific facility I'm talking about in a few minutes. So before that, am I clearly audible and is my video neat?
Yeah, your video is visible. You are audible. If you have a ready short CV, you can post it so that they can.
The thing is, our students conduct this program. So at 11th hour, this change has happened. No?
No, ma'am.
Usually they are
Actually,
prepared with the introduction slides and all.
No worries, ma'am. No worries.
That's why sir said that
actually,
you can post that. Okay.
Our dean is also visible there. I am Vishnu Bhatt, Director Medical Research.
Namaste. Sure.
You are biotechnologists or engineers? Or?
Sir, I am a mechanical engineer. I have graduated in 2011. I am by bachelor's. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I have a specialization into tool designing. Tool designing is a stream of specialization into designing, which focuses on manufacturing and manufacturability, and designing the specific tools which help in making the devices or equipment across manufacturing industry. It can range from automobile till medical or aeronautics and electrical. Anything which has to be made will require a specific tool for it to be molded or for it to be crafted, and these tools are again something to be manufactured by specialist designers. So I was trained in tool designing in Bangalore in the two technical training foundation, and further to it, I have 8 years of experience into manufacturing and development across automobile industry and healthcare industry. I was majorly involved into design and development departments. Beyond that, I have pursued my fellowship into medical devices innovations from All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, under School of International Biodesign, which was previously headed by Dr. Balram Bathurji. And currently, I'm pursuing my master's in medical devices from NICOT, Hyderabad, as a sponsored candidate from AMTZ. While I'm working, I'm getting my education done.
Oh, nice. So you are still students then?
Yes, ma'am. I have a long plans to continue further as a student. I will also pursue my PhD, and I will not stop there. I'll go further for postdoc.
Yeah. I can see that.
My major area of interest is into knee biomechanics, especially osteoarthritis has been my area of interest. coming from mechanical engineering, somehow biomechanics has found that synergy with me, and I always has fascinated me.
So presently, your job profile is like you are giving your inputs for designing these devices, medical devices, right?
Ma'am, right now I am into management and administration. As AMTZ, I represent AMTZ as their senior scientist as well.
Yeah.
Wherein we will be facilitating manufacturers for their smooth operations by setting up their facility and operations. In here, I take care of the plant and machinery finalization for their respective operations. As I was just mentioning, for anything to be made, a tool is required, and anything to be made, a machine is required. That is exactly where I help my office to finalize on the specifications of the machinery, to validate whether if any such investment is already made across the campus, or is this going to be redundant, is this going to be required, is this going to be duplication. So this forms one of the areas of work I'll do. And as I also come from the background of innovator and entrepreneurship, thanks to my School of International Biodesign Fellowship, I handle the incubations, and Incubate is majorly handling their new product development through their cycle, commercialization, etc. As part of my regular operations, I am also interested to work on a wheelchair project. Basically, we are trying to develop a motor electrically powered wheelchair, which is affordable for the local setting. What we are trying to do is basically come up with a retrofittable module to transform a normal wheelchair into a motorized wheelchair, because there is a normal wheelchair and there is an electrical motor wheelchair. Both of the products exist. There is no value we can add further, except for affordability or accessibility. However, still that is quite a big game, given China is in the picture, because manufacturing always China had its advantage of the volume game they play. We thought instead of getting into manufacturing volume game, can there be an innovative approach wherein we are trying to come up with a module which can be retrofitted into a normal wheelchair and have it as a powered wheelchair. This has two advantages to it, especially one, the existing wheelchair user may not have to discard their current wheelchair, while the cost involved for him to avail the luxury of the motorized wheelchair will cut by half, because he already has part of the infrastructure or the part of the equipment with him. It's a matter of purchasing the module, which would cost half of the entire electrical wheelchair. This is what I'm currently also working on in my office.
Okay. So that's what I was trying to think. Tell our students that they should be motivated from you people. You are so young and you are trying to be innovators, trying to be in a field where you can do something, like being a medical professional for almost for 40 years. Maybe your age is less than that. We have not yet thought about that, but you people are I mean, maybe exposure is another thing, and for us, this exposure of Innovation Council, Innovation Cell, Incubation Center, this exposure was not there. Probably if it would have been there, maybe it is different. But that's what we are trying to inculcate in our students' mind, that you have got opportunity, now you have to think beyond just your clinical work and hospitals, because now hospital has also become an industry, right?
Of course, yes, ma'am. Of course, yes. And there are currently experiments and approaches wherein we are planning on printers, if they can be 3D printers, if they can be placed in operation theaters to maintain that sterilization requirements and meet the customized knee implants or any such requirements on the go, on the demand.
Okay. Now can we go ahead?
We'll start now. We'll start the session.
We will start. Anyway, Mr. Krishnakant has introduced himself.
Yeah, it's good.
We can just start, and I don't think our students can introduce him now. Aarti, can we start?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We are ready, ma'am.
Okay.
It has always been said, the future belongs to those who seize opportunities created by innovation. With this thought, I would like to wish a very good morning to our very accomplished speakers, our respected dean sir, professors, delegates, and all the students present with us today. I am Muskan Raja from second year, and I am going to be your host for today's program. We are here for the second session of the Impact Lecture Series by the Institution Innovation Council of AVMC. Today's lecture is on a very crucial theme, which is innovation and entrepreneurship in medicine. And I hope this program will stimulate us to think more. What better way than to start our day by connecting to our inner selves through the words of a prayer. I would like to invite Ms. Mahima J. to lead us in prayer.
கூற்றாயினவாறு விளக்கதிலே குடுமை பல செய்தன நானறியேன் கொடுமை பல செய்தன நானறியேற்றாயடிக்கே அதிகை கெழிலாயிற்றாயடிக்கே அதிகை கெழிலாய் பிரியாது வணங்குவன் எப்பொழுதும் தூட்டாதென்வயிற்றின் அகம்படிந்தே குடரோடு துடக்கி முடக்கிட குடரோடு துடக்கி முடக்கிட ஆற்றே நடியே அதிகை கெழிலா ஆற்றே நடியே அதிகை கெழிலா விரட்டான துரை அம்மானே விரட்டான துரை அம்மானே.
This delightful prayer performed by Ms. Mahima was soul-touching, and I would like to thank you for it. Proceeding further, I would like to inform that this meeting is being recorded for academic purposes. To start this event, I would like to invite Ms. Shriya Yashashwini with the welcome address.
A very good morning to our respected Dean, Sir, Professor Dr. P.F. Kotur, Dean of Health Professional Education, Dr. Mahalakshmi, our Medical Superintendent, Dr. Jay Singh, Sir, and Dr. Deepa Ma'am, our Medical Research, Dr. Vishnu Bhatt, Sir, and various HODs of departments, faculty members, and students. It's a great privilege for me to welcome the renowned speaker, Mr. Vishnu Bhatt Krishnakant, who's going to talk about medical innovation of rich future healthcare needs, and Mr. Sandal Kautawala, who's going to talk about innovation to solve medical problems, who are their experts in their respective fields. I would also like to welcome all the dignitaries and respected delegates, students, and second session of the Impact Lecture Series by the Institution Innovation Council of AVMC. It's an honor for me to inform this session has been sponsored by Ministry of Education Innovation Cell, which is a part of All India Council of Technical Education. I would like to extend a hearty welcome of our Dean, Professor Dr. P.F. Kotur, Sir, who has always been an immense support in all our endeavors. Our Dean of Health Professional Education, Dr. Mahalakshmi Ma'am, who is with her own Vice Principals, Dr. Rajan Sir and Dr. Arunachalam Sir, who has always encouraged in us in all that we do. All our directors of medical research, Dr. Vishnu Bhatt Sir, who has always ignited curiosity in us and supported us throughout. Our convener of IIC, Dr. Pushpa Kotur Ma'am, who has guided us throughout this event. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. We are positive that this program will effectively give us a deeper understanding of the topic and stimulate our thinking. Now, I would like to invite our respected Dean, Professor Dr. P.F. Kotur, Sir, for the opening remark.
A very good morning to the resource persons for today's Impact Lecture Series, Session 2, and all the students and my colleagues, Professor Vishnu Bhatt, Professor Mahalakshmi, Professor Pushpa, and Mr. Krishnakant Makina, today's resource person. As a head of the institution, I'm really privileged to say, of course, I've said it often again and again, that AVMC is one of the few institutions in the country, medical institutions in the country, who have ventured into establishing a innovation cell. And the innovation cell here in AVMC is now 1.5 years old, and to try to find, or already found its identity, and which is evident by the accolades it earned from the recognition it earned from the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Human Resource, and they got the status, and a series of activities which the students of AVMC have been conducting. Activities of the students, for the students, and by the students. That's what is our philosophy. And on behalf of our management, on behalf of our Honorable Chairman, and Chancellor, I extend a warm welcome for all the resource persons and the participants over here. And a couple of thoughts on this occasion, that the needs of the society have been changing, ever-changing needs of the society. I'm talking from the perspectives of the healthcare needs of the society to be catered by the healthcare professionals. And it's quite heartening to see that in the initial days, only the computer persons used to encroach upon the medical field. Now, then slowly biomedical engineers, they started. Now even I was very excited to learn that the mechanical engineer also is, they are trying to, I don't say encroach upon, they are trying to be a part of this whole endeavor, teamwork for the betterment of the society. Now this COVID pandemic has taught us many lessons. Now we all agree that offering a patient care, optimal patient care, is kind of a you can say war, or giving the catering, fulfilling the healthcare needs of the patients or the community is a kind of war. Why I'm using this word war is the changing so much. New diseases are emerging, new bacteria are evolving, mutation of these viruses they take place, and newer diseases are emerging. So under such a circumstances, You need to adopt, you need to advance, you need to do a research and find a solution for the emerging problems. Those are attacking the community across. So many times I say this, COVID of course was the worst thing that can happen ever to mankind. But there is no other alternative. But the best thing what we can get from that is the digitalization process that happened, especially in the medical colleges because of the COVID, for towards teaching, learning activities, towards patient care activities is alarming, which would have taken decades to have this change. So the necessity is the mother of invention. Everybody got adopted, everybody mastered by racing against the time. This expertise required for that. And the new many gadgets came into picture. This innovation also has been accelerated by this COVID pandemic. Even simple innovations like washing your hand effectively with only 5-10 ml of water, that kind of a machine, to the various therapeutic, various diagnostic innovations, those have happened. And it is quite heartening to see that across the country, this innovation sells more in the engineering colleges and also in medical colleges. There has been sensitization, there has been effort being put forth, including our own institutions in this. And now I'll say this is the best time to invest in terms of money, invest in terms of time, invest in terms of human resource for these innovations, for the betterment of the community, healthcare needs of the community. And on this topic, today's speakers are there. One is Mr. Krishnakant, another one is Mr. Sandal Kotawala. So both are speaking on the innovations those are needed, or those can bridge the gap between this research and the practice. So wonderful. It will be quite nice to hear to these young thoughts and young. I will say one statement: these younger minds are more have a capability of thinking critically than our generations. There's quite best thing that is happening across the country. And with these all innovations, multiple innovation, innumerable innovations have taken place, especially the artificial intelligence incorporation and these virtual patients, virtual ICUs, virtual realities. We have established the AR/VR lab in your institution for facilitation of training, teaching. So it's a nice, and of course, it keeps us on the toes to be updated. So thank you very much for giving an opportunity to share some initial thoughts, which will keep the ball rolling now for the next sessions by our esteemed speakers. Thank you once again, and I wish you a very fruitful deliberations. Thank you, Dr. Arti.
Thank you, sir, for your very kind remarks. Moving on with the program, I would like to invite Ms. Riza Chakraborty to acquaint us with the first speaker of our day, Mr. M.V. Krishnakant.
Hello, Dr. Arti. Are you expecting me to initiate the presentation?
It is my honor and privilege to be introducing the first guest speaker for today, Mr. V. Krishnakant McKenna, who is currently working as a Scientist D at IIC AMTZ Medi Valley, which stands for Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone, which is the world's first integrated medical device manufacturing ecosystem. He has an active role in liaisoning with the manufacturing partners. His career began by gaining experience and expertise as a design engineer in various prestigious institutions, such as the Millennium Software Solutions, Uniparts India Limited, Naval Science and Technological Laboratories, and Cura Healthcare Private Limited. In these years of achieving experience, he engineered the ceiling mount digital radiography machine and also did troubleshooting for the existing floor mount digital radiography machine to make it production ready. In the span of 2017 to 18, he worked in a multidisciplinary team consisting of doctors, engineers, and product designers and biomedical engineers in realizing a clinically unmet need by interacting with the various stakeholders in the healthcare ecosystem. Now, I cordially invite you, sir, to share your words of wisdom with us.
Very good morning, everyone. I hope my screen is available. I hope my presentation is available on the screen for everyone. Hello, I'm expecting.
It's visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it's visible.
Very good morning, everyone. Krishnakant here. Thank you so much for your kind introduction of my profile, dear man. And sir, thank you so much for your kind words. Though we try to be innovative, your experience is something we are always humbled with, and is always something we look forward to learn from, sir. However, thank you for your kind, generous compliments to us. So going forward, Andhra Pradesh Medtech Zone, as we have already had a brief mention, is a 270-acre zone dedicated for localization of manufacturing of medical devices, wherein we as a country, India, are 75 to 80% import dependent on medical devices. The major factor across these import dependencies is lack of manufacturing within the country, and which eventually leads to lack of production of quality and critical equipment. So this specific gap area has been observed, and looking at the potential opportunity of 70 to 75% of import dependency going forward, wherein a perspective for universal healthcare to take shape and to cut down the healthcare cost overall, AMPZ has been proposed as a innovative approach, brainchild of Dr. Jitendra Kumar Sharma, who is MD and CEO of the campus of the Andhra Pradesh Medtech Zone. So as you can see here, our motto is, though we are based out of Andhra Pradesh state, which happens to be our ground for operations. Our aspirations have always been to serve for the nation and going beyond that. We'll walk you through a brief story of how we have handled through the COVID lockdown as well. So this is what we are. We are an ecosystem to localize manufacturing of medical devices, wherein we provide common scientific facilities or core scientific facilities as our available offerings to the manufacturing partners who avail the land with us. Basically, the major problem that happens with medical devices is the cost involved in commercializing them, especially the cost involved in reaching and managing to comply with the regulations that are part of the product's life cycle. Unlike any other electronic device, a medical device is expected to be very, very accurate and repeatable. To ensure this kind of stringent regulations are met, we have certain facilities which are necessary and which will have to be availed for throughout a medical devices journey, like say electromagnetic interference and electromagnetic compatibility. The Center for Electromagnetic Compatibility and Safety Testing is nothing but basically it does testing services for medical devices, which are expected to be safe for operation. Like say if we have a pacemaker installed in a human, and if at all pacemaker being an electronic device, it should not be interfering with any other devices communication, say a mobile phone lying in your pocket. If at all this pacemaker takes any signals from the mobile phone, and if it can potentially malfunction, there are high chances it may lead to fatal errors. So these kind of safety testings that the pacemaker is made to comply safety and other standards is one of the objectives of electromagnetic safety. Likewise, there are various other testings and regulations offered by the zone as our common sense offering. amongst which 3D printing and bioprinting is also one of our offerings. Rapid prototyping, we call it as recently the type of additive manufacturing because of its advantage to serve to the limited needs of low volume needs of innovators and manufacturers alike, especially in a domain like medical devices wherein the volumes are always low. A 3D printing or a limited volume production is a go-to approach wherein you will save on costs of investing on mass scale manufacturing while you being able to address the needs of the requirements of the equipment being made at mass scale. And we also have one of our flagship projects which we happen to house in our campus is the India's first MRI superconducting magnet manufacturing facility, which has a capacity to produce magnets from 0.5 Tesla to 3 Tesla. And these are the very magnets which act as critical component to MRI machines. You may almost understand like 80% of MRI machine is the magnet. On top of which there needs to be electronics and integrations to be made, which are more of the integrator or manufacturer of the MRI machines job. While we always start with identifying the critical component requirements, what is it that disables us from being a global manufacturer, or that disables us from being a surplus or exporter of critical machines? As we know, MRI machines currently are quite a expensive healthcare alternate solution, because just that the cost involved in making this MRI machine and then the cost involved in importing it and then the services provided by them eventually end up being at a higher rate. So we started thinking, what is it that takes that difficult for an MRI machine to be made, and we realized magnet is something which forms the critical component. Hence, we come up with this manufacturing facility for superconducting magnets. Just by having this facility in campus, we happen to attract more than 3 to 4 manufacturers of MRI machines altogether, some of whom are homegrown Indian manufacturers, also tagging to our Make in India approach, who are ready now to integrate their machines. And the first machine we will be launching somewhere very soon, because we are in the final phase of fine-tuning the system. These are the few services and story what we are currently going through. So as I was mentioning, the major intention is to firstly make ourselves self-sustainable and if possible going towards export and availing the export potential opportunity. As you can see currently during the COVID lockdown, we have been declared as essential services starting from the day one of lockdown, March 23rd by Government of India themselves, and we were continuously operational since then. We have started scaling up our production capacities of ventilators, oxygen concentrators, NHM masks, and PPE kits across the domains wherever there is a need. We jumped in picture and we managed to address the issue. As of now, AMTZ stands tall with a production capacity of 100 ventilators per day, and this is within the campus. There are 3 to 4 manufacturers who have a continuous production line of ventilators. Majority of our requests come from various state governments, and we happen to serve them happily and obligatingly with much more responsibility. And as you can see, others are like superconducting magnets for MRI machines, and in IR thermometers and pulse oximeters also happen to be the other key manufacturing products within our campus. And beyond this, we have something called iLab and O2 Home. These are innovative approaches for handling COVID pandemic in the remote settings, wherein not in the remotest place of Assam or Shillong, we have access to primary healthcare setting, which is where we came up with something called a mobile container hospital as well, mounted onto a vehicle to be called as iLab. Basically, this is a rapid response mobile laboratory wherein we have access to varieties of testings required on the wheels to deliver the test on demand. O2 Home is another innovative approach when we were trying to rent out oxygen concentrators because oxygen concentrators end up being much expensive for a single patient usage, and Nevertheless, there is no escape from the patient care at a home setting. So hence we come up with this innovative approach with those concentrators which were manufactured within the campus. Oxy-wheel is another alternative we have proposed for the hospital settings, wherein because during the peak demand, there is a necessity that we have to own an oxygen concentrator, oxygen generation facility. However, it might not be justifiable going in the long run. Hence, we came up with an innovative solution called Oxy-wheel, which is a oxygen generation plant on wheels available for rental. These are the various installations we are in installation. The top nurse which you see is someone is a mobile lab hospital which is installed in Meghalaya, and the other V2 homes is basically for making vision testing accessible to the rural places. On the bottom right corner, you can see Ms. Alice Snapper, who is the WHO innovations lead, who has visited our campus to acknowledge our work, and also we have been granted WHO Collaboration Center for Innovations, the first time ever in the globe across the world. So these are the few glimpses of mobile health ATMs which we have conceptualized, and you can see this is our presence with the devices which have been made within our campus. You can see the origin point of all the lines is from Visakhapatnam, which is where our campus is located. These are the few glimpses of our global footprint. We have been acknowledged in BRICS Summit in the last summit for our active contributions. As part of our government initiatives as well, we have managed to supply to Thailand's requirement during their peak COVID management. And these are the various collaborations which I was just mentioning. The WHO's Collaboration Center for Health Innovations for the first time in the world has been allocated to NGZ under Kalam Institute of Health Technology. These are the few glimpses of our busy manufacturing units. As you can see, Stanley Black & Decker is one of the flagship injection molding facility, wherein injection molding is a technology used for manufacturing of plastic components. As you can see, or you can visualize any of the medical devices starting from an ECG, anything which has to be cased, it will require a plastic case to be put on top of it. And this case has to be injection molded, and this is the injection molding center which I'm referring to now. And the other facilities you see on the top left corner is one of our biomaterials testing facility, which is made available for the manufacturers to run through their regulatory requirement as per the requirements in terms of biocompatibility, irritability, or toxicity, etc. Tests can be done there. And we frequently have the guests visiting our campus. Thanks to the good work we are doing, and these are the few glimpses of our operations. On top left corner, you can see the India's first MRI machine being made, being inspected by Dr. Amitabh Kant, our previous NITI Aayog CEO himself in his last visit to our campus, and the busy active production lines which we were actively producing RT-PCR for COVID management. So this was a glimpse of Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone coming down to Medi Valley Innovation Center, which is the platform for innovators to realize their innovations. I'm where I am also currently associated with. Basically, our motto is to ideate, incubate, and innovate, so that local innovations are actually realizable into products. This is a small glimpse of our innovation center, and currently we have startups of almost 8 startups which are at validation stages. We have mentoring communities of 100 plus. Though I have mentioned 100 plus, this is merely a number. The advantage I enjoy being part of integrated ecosystem is almost every manufacturer in the campus is ready to share their experiences and their journey, and are ready to mentor our startups through their product development life cycles. There have also been numerous instances wherein manufacturers have shown keen interest into acquiring technologies like an ecosystem makes true sense. You will find everything happening within the campus self-sustainable. We have women entrepreneurs who are leading the medical devices, and also majority of our devices also are headed by doctors themselves, senior doctors and practicing doctors. I think this is a wonderful opportunity. This can be considered as a as a classic example for you also, not to see this something outside of your domain, but medical devices is something which has to be led by doctors. It is you who, upon giving or realizing or sharing the feedback of what is the exact problem you're going through, we engineers can come up with solutions. These are the various products we are currently having, incubated with us. Makers side, they are working on a robotics on a prosthetic arm, and RW therapies, regenerative wound therapies are coming up with India's first uh, debris removal system. And Petcan Tech is one of our most acclaimed startups who is working on non-invasive blood glucose monitoring and also multivital paramonitoring. And as I was mentioning, being part of AMT's ecosystem is the biggest advantage which Medieval as an incubator enjoys. You can see the access to various facilities that which are available at an innovator's disposal that basically have been meant for manufacturers. So it is, you can almost see AMTZ campus as a university for serious entrepreneurs. Someone who steps in with an idea can potentially go through their rapid prototyping requests from the center, get the product tested, and think of producing it at manufacturing scale and get it and graduate to be a manufacturer, start his own business, or even end up transferring the technology to someone else who is interested in running the business and sharing the royalty. It's almost like you having a platform to realize your dreams and goals of entering the domain of adding to the nation's mission on Make in India, and also localizing the medical devices, critical requirement for the market. These are the various associations which Medivalley currently enjoy. We are directly supported by Atal Innovation Mission and the Atal Incubation Council scheme. And AMTZ being our parent institute and hosting institute, IIC is the Indian Biomedical Skill Counseling Center, where we provide active skilling to biomedical engineers to manage hospital devices, and also we provide active training to various medical device practitioners. Kalam Institute of Health Technology is a think technology body of Andhra Pradesh Medtech Zone, who is a premier into medical device policy making. You can see further details about it over the internet. So this was a glimpse of Medivalley, and coming down to what exactly am I talking towards? Basically, I have mentioned about started with AMTZ as a manufacturing ecosystem, and then coming down to Medivalley as an incubator. But then the few slides which I'm going to walk through is what does it take to be an innovator? Who is that innovator who becomes a startup, and who is the startup who becomes a manufacturer? The entire ecosystem which I currently make available. So as I was already mentioning, Medivalley being in the Andhra Pradesh Medtech Zone enjoys several advantages which I have mentioned, and these are the various proposals, various R&D focus areas we have right within AMTZ. For example, if you have any innovative ideas of a specific product in any of these domains, please feel free to reach out to us. We are actually looking for innovators into these domains. We may potentially fund your product development and also think of helping you through scaling it up towards mass manufacturing. The broad stages of prototyping have been made available in these next 2-3 slides, just for a glimpse of understanding to you all. Right now, there is also a call open from School of International Biodesign for innovators, for students who are interested to take up the journey of entrepreneurship or innovation. Basically, we can understand that a medical device life cycle has these five stages of development. Once it starts with ideation, then later we will have to consider prototyping, and then testing, and then continuous and established validation, and then commercialization. though it is simply shown as 5 stages in here, maybe my immediate speaker will be in a better position to explain you what it actually takes to cross all these stages. It's what I am showing here is at least a 7-year life cycle if you are practicing this elsewhere, starting from ideation till realization of commercialization. However, this is exactly where being part of IMTZ or being part of an ecosystem helps through having access to all these facilities and surrounded by all these through your 24/7 day will cut down the time required for this by quite a lot. This is something to be experienced. I cannot just keep talking about it. I would actually invite the senior management team, and if any of you are interested students, to please visit our campus to see what we have, and that would actually motivate you much more than any of my speech. So design thinking, so just to understand how does this start? Basically, it starts with understanding and realizing what exactly is a bother. A bother need not necessarily be to a patient. It is also a bother if at all my doctor is struggling to render his regular practice. See, a radiologist, a certified and a trained radiologist is someone who can be most productive if at all he is being provided the most challenging of the radiograph. It is not worth his time to just clean through a normal radiograph wherein there is merely an identification of some blockage or a small fracture. These are some things which can be done upon repeatedly training the algorithm. But it is a beautiful radiologist is one who cannot be replaced by any software which requires skill and which requires years of experience to understand what exactly is the difference between a hard tissue and a soft tissue, and where exactly is there a potential crack or a fracture happening, etc. So what I'm trying to tell is a problem need not necessarily mean a problem with the patient only. Problem can also happen with the doctor. A problem can happen with someone who is delivering the service, probably at the nurse or midwife's uh, uh, level as well. So it's firstly to understand where does the problem exist and what is exactly that which is a problem, and then to validate whether it is a problem to everyone or is it a problem just because of the geographical constraints or probably the administrative or systematic constraints in the specific setting. So it is matter of observation, keenly a regular setting, how exactly are things flowing, is there an opportunity for us to improvise this or better this, and then validating with the similar instances found across the research in the internet or by visiting other hospital settings across the nation. And then we will come up with something called, once we have identified a problem, we will come up with something called a brainstorming session wherein we discuss as a team of people from multiple disciplines. Maybe someone coming from mechanical engineering background, someone coming from a clinician background, someone coming from a business background, and validating and discussing intensely how far is this problem can be addressed with the available technology and tools in hand. And innovation doesn't necessarily mean we have to invent something out of science. It is something, it can also mean simply application of available technologies to make something innovative. For example, stethoscope is there since years. After observing certain discomforts associated with respect to the reachability of the patient, and thanks to COVID for the moment, there is minimum distance that which is to be maintained between patients and doctors, etc. And then we have come up with something called remote digital stethoscope, which could be basically put on patient's heart, and almost AirPods of Apple can record the sounds, and you can see the actual frequency demonstrated in your mobile phone. So we are moving on from wired connectivity to wireless connectivity, which adds comfort at multiple levels. So these are the various design thinking principles which we have to go through while realizing the product and product realization. And role of empathy is what exactly plays a key role into realizing what exactly is a need. First, we have to start emphasizing with how the practitioner is, how the clinician is, what exactly is the trouble to him, or if at all it is the patient, what is his further, is there a way we can address? For example, we can think of osteoarthritis patient, which is my area of work as well, who is expected to go to visit a doctor for 3 to 4 times for him to get his accurate diagnosis done. If we are talking about a Kelvin-Lawrence scale 4 patient who is already suffering with severe pain in his knees, for him to visit a doctor for the first time and report his complaint, and then the doctor asking him to go and get your X-ray done, and then this patient again coming back to the doctor to taking an appointment to show his radiograph, and then the doctor diagnosing it as osteoarthritis, and then he taking a decision. This is all a life cycle. Only upon me expressing it in various stages that we can see that the patient is put through a lot of pain while he is already in pain. Is there a way that we can make this diagnosis instant at the doctor's first visit itself? Is something a problem could be like, and this happens only if you're looking at the problem from a patient's end. This is what how powerful an empathy could be, and how sensible and connecting solutions what we can end up creating. And then from empathy to ideation, as I was talking about the brainstorming session, it is not always that brainstorming or identifying solution is the only criteria. We also need to be very mindful of whether is it commercializable or is it actually something which can be churned out to be a business idea. That's where having someone from the management background also helps in forming the team from the multidisciplinary approach. These are the various things we need to consider while we are ideating the device, and these are the various stages of prototyping. As you can see, like this is basically a very common material available across the internet. The only reason I'm sharing all the information is to give you a glimpse what it exactly is, the journey of an innovator who's anyway ending up into startup and being the manufacturer. And there are various opportunities for us to innovate, starting from the various materials in an implant which can improve its lifetime, and the materials which could increase biocompatibility, materials which can also be biodegradable at the same time. There's a humongous opportunity for innovations to take shape in medical devices especially. So prototyping, we help with innovators. We try to work for their financing opportunities as well. We have active team which is liaising with the venture capitalists and investors across the country and across the globe who are actively looking for medical device innovations. Thanks to our ecosystem advantage, even manufacturers certain times express their interest into funding certain innovations. Any of you are having any interest into development or startups or medical device innovations, which has a long way to go, our universal healthcare coverage also taking shape, please feel free to reach out to us. You can find my profile in LinkedIn, or even you may note down my correspondence. And please feel free to reach out to us at any time. That concludes my presentation. Any of you having any doubts, please feel free to ask.
No questions from students? Any questions? So thank you, Mr. Krishnakant.
Will I ask one question?
Yes, sir, please.
So I think it's taken us through development of a product from ideation. We are a young unit, actually, only about a year old. So can you help in us in developing some, or stimulating the students to develop ideation? Of course, your talk was impressive, but we need to have some support. Secondly, when you are developing your equipment, whatever developed has to be tested. So probably we can collaborate in that direction also. suppose equipment need to be tested, we can help you in that. Of course, you may be having other medical college and hospitals in your list. So what is your input on that?
Sir, never never. I mean, we are always open to work, and I'm happy that you have raised this subject. Sir, we would always be looking for hospitals which are actively looking and having that keen interest into innovation. Because we also, many of my innovators who are practicing, who are developing their startups and the manufacturing partners are in need of clinicians or to conduct the clinical trials. I think that would be a wonderful platform which we can take advantage from here. And likewise, given the advantage I have with the ecosystem, any of your students who are into innovation, if they require any testing requirement, testing support or regulatory support, which is completely out of the syllabus for that for practicing doctors, it is something we can actively contribute into and easing your journey through the development, sir. I have we have the patenting body also within the campus, and we have regulatory services partner, which is handled by two Greenland themselves, one of the most renowned certifying agencies across the globe. Also, is part of our team in house. So there is a huge potential for the synergy to come to get together. Maybe if you can send out a formal request on email, I should be able to put up to my senior management and get back to you on various possible avenues of engagement, sir.
Thank you. See, why I raised this question, because the mind should start thinking. Actually, if you look at the medical students, they are looking at the patient, but they are not looking at the problems many times for a new device, new equipment. So usually we look for the startup companies or who will produce the product and give us. So once they start looking at the product, then probably it will stimulate them to think in their own way to develop a new product.
And the most interesting fact is that, it is these practicing doctors who are my key input. If at all I have to make a device, it is your input that this is a problem, dear. Can you please help solve this? That which can ease my life or potentially bring down the cost of delivering the service, and that which could ease a patient's discomfort. These are the very inputs, sir. It is actually a doctor's game. It is actually a doctor's domain. We engineers are only visitors into this domain.
In fact, what I thought that it's we teachers as such, we should try to inculcate in the mind of students, because right now what we are aiming at only a good patient care. We are not motivating them, but this is our first year. Just recently we completed 1 year. This is first time we are trying to motivate our students and trying to show them this path also. That there is something.
I'm glad you have taken this initiative, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm glad you have taken this initiative, but let me share something which we have found as part of our experience. At least, though we are a very, very small institute, I can with full pride, I can share that we have gained a profound experience, and we have gained a lot of involvement into the industry, because we being the first also. Majority of my innovation teams end up having their founders or directors as doctors only. It is the most experienced doctor who understands after his years of experience that this is a problem for sure. And he is the only one who can validate with such a confidence. As an engineer, I can always have a third party perspective, but as a doctor, it is you who can on grounds see to and realize that this is actually a problem. One of my startup ends up being the renowned cardiologist from US. He has ended up into venturing into innovating a surgical arm device for cardiology surgeries. We are talking about completely robotics, mechanical engineering by a doctor. If it's not for him, I would not have envisaged, I would not have visualized such a device needing an innovation. Likewise, a renowned urologist from Mediplace Hospital in Delhi ends up coming up with something called a Euro bag, which is a wearable bag to contain for urinary infection patients. Likewise, it always ends up being a doctor, and one of the examples I have shared with you, the radiologist. It is again a senior radiologist who ends up coming up with this solution that can we integrate AI into screening radiographs.
A lot of such things are coming from engineers actually. Nowadays, we are looking at AI for everything. And really, I was fascinated, and talking to you is really interesting. I'm telling this from my heart that
I would sincerely request you and invite you to our campus at your convenience.
Sure.
Please let us know. You would be much more fascinated to meet our dear chief, Dr. Jitendra Kumar Sharma as well. You might have known about him already, or you may just see through what his actual profile is. He's a wonderful person. I mean, it's him who has conceptualized the entire zone and the campus as well.
I think we have to plan to see your AMTZ, and because already you have walked through all this. AMTZ, what your incubation, Atal Incubation Center is doing. Really, it was interesting.
Yeah.
Over to...
So, any other doubts as such, or I would like to conclude and just...
No doubts for our students. Now they have started thinking, most probably. They are in thinking mode, not in questioning mode. Yes, Muskan? It's true, right?
Yes, ma'am. I was very fascinated by Sir's talk, and I would definitely like to take up the offer to go and visit the campus. It seems like a very interesting opportunity. And I would definitely want to understand more about how innovation works in the healthcare. So,
what I suggest our students during summer vacations and all, they can think of visiting such places. It will be a holiday also. It will be something.
Yes, ma'am.
We will be
Sorry, elective posting, we can.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Because this will definitely motivate. It should come from within when they look at something or they hear someone, and people like Krishna Kant will be motivators for them.
Definitely, ma'am.
To be told by you or to be mentioned by you like that. We'll be most looking forward to have you in our campus. And so, ma'am, with your kind permission, I would like to take off. I need to attend someone.
Yeah, I know you are busy. Thank you so much, Krishna Kant.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely I will like to meet you.
Please,
there in
Visakhapatnam. Forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. See you, sir. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was inspiring to hear about all the impact AMTZ has created in the field of medical education and medical innovation. And we definitely have gotten a more deep understanding about all how we can go about bringing our ideas into a commercial product, and how we can go from customer needs to getting specific solutions. So I would like to thank you once again and for all your shrewd insights. And we have definitely gained a lot from this talk. Moving on, I would like to invite Lily Davis to introduce our second guest speaker for the day, Mr. Sandal Kotawala.
Welcome, Mr. Sandal Kotawala. I'm Dr. Pushpa Kotur, convener of IIC, Arpodavida Medical College at Pondicherry. We have our director, medical research, Dr. Vishnu Bhatt. He is our president of IIC. And I went through your CV. It is really impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. Lily, please introduce our speaker.
Yes, ma'am. It is my pride and honor to introduce the speaker for the second session of Impact Lectures,
Mr. Sandal Kotawala, the founder and CEO at Alpheus Technology Private Limited. He acquired his graduation from VIT University, Vellore, Tamil Nadu. He is accredited for the transformation of his idea of performing visual field tests using a virtual reality headset in a period of just 3 years. The commercially available product he developed is known as C3 Field Analyze. It is a very sophisticated device which allows the users to take the test in a relaxed posture, and it does not require an eye patch or a dark room like the conventional methods demanded. It has a very simple to use interface and provides a report which is void of any false positives, false negative triggers, and fixation losses. He has applied for patent for the same. He received a grant of Rs 44 lakh from the Department of Science and Technology for the development of this device. He has published a paper in the Journal of Glaucoma and has presented many papers and videos at various conferences. He has been acknowledged with many national and international awards. He won the Academia International Industrial Training Program in Switzerland, the ExpoMet Medical Conference Hackathon, Germany, and the Medicall Budding Conference Budding Innovator Award in India 2018, along with various other awards. Now, I invite you, sir, to take over the platform and enlighten us with your knowledge.
Thank you, Lily, for the kind introduction. And many thanks to ABMC Innovation Council, Institution Innovation Council, for organizing this great event. Normally, we don't see medical colleges organizing these kind of events, but it's really good medical colleges coming up with this kind of events. And also many thanks to Dr. Aarti for organizing and being in touch. Now, a bit of introduction. So Pondicherry has always been very close to my heart. I was a student in VIT University, so I joined there 2014, and 2016 we were working with Arvind Eye Hospital in Pondicherry. So Arvind Eye Hospital Pondicherry is where we developed our entire device. We also worked with JIPMER, and we had a lot of support from Arvind Pondicherry. So Pondicherry has always been a very special place in my heart, and it always was a second home to me. I'll quickly take you through my presentation, but before that, I would like to give you a bit of idea of what we did, how it all started, and how, as a student, I was able to come up with the idea, that too as a startup, and then selling these devices and getting it into place. So first thing, as one of my mentor, Dr. Naru Narayanan, he says that as an innovator, you have to have two skills, right? As an innovator, you have to have two mandatory skills, and which one of them is you should hear the sun shining, right? You should not see the sun shining, but you should hear the sun shining. That essentially means that before the sun shines, the birds start chirping, right? There is a lot of changes that happen before the sun shines. So before any innovation happens, before any new technology comes into market, there is a lot of things. As an observer, you need to really observe those things, that okay, something is going to happen, or this is something we can change, or here is the problem. So observing and realizing there is a problem is the first step. And second quality you gotta have as an innovator is ability to sing a song, right? Can you sing a song in front of, let's say, 100 people, right? Can you follow your guts when 100 people are? Can you follow through when hundreds of people are saying you it's not gonna work? So if you have these two quantities, I believe these are, again, the most basic quantities any innovator entrepreneur should have, because the journey would be challenging. So I started when I was in second year of my bachelor's degree. I was in VIT University of Vellore, and I came to Arvind Pondicherry for one of the conferences. And then we realized that the cameras, the cameras for recording surgery were very expensive those days, right? They used to cost like 4 lakh, 5 lakh rupees. So if you have to record a surgery from your microscope, you'll end up paying 5 lakh rupee to a company like Sony or Toshiba to set up those expensive cameras. So me and my colleague Devang, we had a small Raspberry Pi. It's a small electronic device. We had a small Raspberry Pi circuit. We just put it on a microscope and recorded these videos, and doctors were super happy with it. So I'll just share my screen and show you this entire journey. Okay, so this is how Arvind Eye Hospital Pondicherry looks like. I actually created this particular presentation for a recent conference, and this is what we did as on the project Raspicam, where we mounted this electronic item with a camera on a microscope, and we started recording videos, right? Very simple thing. So if you ask any engineer, he would probably know about this Raspberry Pi cam, but most of the doctors didn't know about it, right? So even though we didn't do anything major, they appreciated us for the simple thing. And then I was being at Arvind and being with doctors. So that gave a lot of idea of what's happening in the hospital. And then there is something called this visual field test, where there's this big machine, they patch one of your eye, and they ask you to rest your chin, something like this. And then you're supposed to do this entire test for something called, there's a disease called glaucoma. I'm sure as doctors, you may be aware about it. So for glaucoma, you're supposed to do a big test like this. So they'll ask you to look at the center yellow dot. And if you see any white blinking dot, you press the button. So yeah, this is kind of response button they give. And it takes almost 8 to 10 minutes per eye, right? 8 to 10 minutes per eye. And then a report, something like this would come. So as a student, I was always fascinated. Why can't this thing be done on a virtual reality VR headset? And that's when I visited a lot of eye camps with Arvind. And we developed this very basic model in a VR headset, where a VR was used to do the same visual field test. And so, you can see it didn't come easy. We had to do a lot of prototyping. We had to iterate through a lot of ideas. And finally, we worked with Johns Hopkins in the US and Arvind Eye Hospital, and did this publication with a more robust 3D printed model. And that got us some validation, got us some acceptance, not just in India, but globally. And then we went to this conference called All India Ophthalmic Conference 2018 and showcased our product there. And so there was this, we were there, right? Two innovators, me and Devang, and we had just 30,000 rupee in our bank balance at the moment. And there were all these big fancy conferences. Even entry fees per ticket was like 10-12,000 rupee, right? We could have never afforded to even get an entry pass to that, leave alone the exhibiting at such a conference. So, there's this famous Hindi movie dialogue कि कहते हैं किसी चीज को दिल से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात तुम्हें उससे मिलाने की कोशिश में लग जाती है, right? So something similar happened. Even though we didn't have money to get into that conference, even though we didn't had, I didn't have a proper suit to wear there, everything fall into place. Dr. Venkatesh helped us, the Arvind CMO helped us to, put up a stall at one of his colleagues' conference. He has put up a request. Not just that, we put up this thing in multiple conferences. Our college incubator agreed to give us some funds, right? My friend helped me to lend a suit. So a lot of things fell into place, and then we did this company incorporation. So I was graduating in 2018. That's when I incorporated this company called Alphalius. And we were like a 12-15 people team. We participated in this event called AIT, which is organized by Sina IIT Bombay. So they took us to Switzerland. We won the best startup award there. And then a lot of things started happening. We launched our first commercial model in Tamil Nadu, in Pondicherry. This is an event called Kudu View. This was 2018. And we got our first customer from Trichy. Right. So all of a sudden, a very, very, very simple idea, which was out there in labs, slowly things started happening. And in fact, we landed our first customer. And then we worked with another, we found an investor, he invested in us. We worked on a more commercial and more proper model. We developed C3FA, C3 Field Analyzer. And right now, the latest product is called Intelligent Vision Analyzer, with 100+ doctors across the globe already using it. We got support from Department of Science and Technology, BIRAC, and other government departments. Right. So very simple idea, very simple concept that I had in mind. Got conceptualized. It started moving on slow by slow, and reached here. So yeah. So I think I'll conclude with this quote from Dr. V. That intelligence and capability are not enough, and there must be joy of doing something beautiful, right? All this fell into place. All this happened because I think I personally always cared about solving this thing. I wanted to make it, and also there were these doctors, this team, which really helped us to achieve something like this. And yeah, that's a bit of the idea about a journey. And I'll just show you. So I'll also show you how this particular product evolved over a period of time. So this is our team, and we have been associated with a lot of institutions. And so right now we are getting into multiple product, where first product was a virtual reality based field analyzer, but second product we are doing a smart glass for low vision people. So people who are legally blind, for them we are making smart glasses, and these smart glasses cost somewhere 5 to 10 lakh rupee if we import them from US, Canada, or Germany. But we are trying to create that in 50,000 to a lakh rupee kind of range. And third product we are doing is a smart sleep for eye drop medication reminder, so for doctors to understand when their patients are taking eye drop medicine or not, whether they're taking or not. So this is what glaucoma is, where your vision reduces over a period of time, and it goes undiagnosed a lot of time. It is a leading cause of irreversible blindness, goes undiagnosed up to 90% time, and 60 million people affected globally. And this is what we developed as a solution, where right side you see a conventional perimeter, and we developed a head mount virtual reality perimeter. So with this solution, we reduced the price of this particular machine by almost 10 times. A big machine costs somewhere around 25 to 30 lakh rupees, while our device costs somewhere around 3.5 lakh rupees. And also it's way more easy for patient to do this test. This can be taken to villages. So we are working with Arvind Eye Hospital to take these devices to vision centers and for outreach. And this is about the smart glass that we are developing with AIMS New Delhi. And this is that eye drop reminder, where it's a small sleeve that attaches on eye drop bottle for, and it monitors whenever you're taking your medicine, or whether you're taking it, whether you're not taking it, and it communicates data to the mobile app. This is our team and our mentors. Dr. Venkatesh, Chief Medical Officer at Arvind Eye Hospital, has been supporting us last 5-6 years and have been very kind to us. This is our core team. And yeah, so these are a few presentations at All India Ophthalmic Conferences in Arvo in Canada, and this was in Switzerland. So been through a lot of kind of events and participations, and we received a lot of appreciation from a global community. And most interestingly, I thought this kind of solution will be only applicable for India, or where people want cheap products. But what we realized is, even in US, right? Even in US, where a lot of people, for example, refugees or people who don't have insurance, who cannot afford testing on a big machine, they are using our machine for testing there and evaluation. So that's a bit of a story about my startup, about this company. And I'll be open for questions. I'll be open to questions, and anything you would like to understand, ask me. Yeah.
It's a very impressive talk. I think our students will have a lot of questions.
It's very sorry. It's very interesting to learn your story, how you started as a student actually. And I'm really delighted to know that you have attended more conferences, medical conferences, that to ophthalmology, more than our students and our maybe ophthalmologists.
yeah, it's now
really,
there are 12 to 15 conferences: Tamil Nadu conference, Karnataka conference, Bombay, Delhi, all these conferences. So we do go there and visit them.
And this maybe, I think this should motivate our students, that how you started as a student, just looking at one problem which you thought that it is an expensive device, and how I can make some safe and as well as affordable device.
Yes,
really motivating.
And medical colleges or medical field in general, what I've realized, the innovation is very slow. I think one of the biggest reason being the regulatory, because when we develop some device, it takes almost a year to get it through regulatory and clinical trials and everything. But as doctors, as medical practitioners, I believe you have the greatest advantage where you know your patient. You can do the testing in hospital, and you can do those quick iteration. We were able to do those iteration because Arvind Eye Hospital was, they partnered with us and they provided us a lot of support for iteration. But in college, if innovation is there, it can be very, very easily, very quickly tested and validated.
Should I tell something? Our regulatory body is main obstacle for our medical college, learning of our students, because they have to attend so many classes, they have to do this, they have to do that. This regulatory body is not allowing them to think freely about innovations. All the time they are busy in just being into, fixing themselves into that framework. And we too, as a faculty, we too have to look at that. So that is the main obstacle. That's what I believe.
Okay.
If we say about patient care, if we say about examination, they are very happily, they will come. They will come forward, but not for innovations. Because they are not ready to look at the problem of patient or problem of doctors, what they are facing. They don't have time. That's the main obstacle. That's what I feel. I started thinking why medical students are not thinking this way. Yeah. Because they don't get time only for thinking all these things.
Yeah, to totally understand. And even, a lot of engineers, this field, especially medical device innovation, you hear out of 10, probably two people will be from medical field, and 8 or 9 would be from, engineering backgrounds. So a lot of our engineers are taking up the innovations with help of you guys. But I totally understand you have patient load, you are occupied. But again, innovations would definitely help us in long run, because when we go to US, they're Johns Hopkins. So they're, the medical guy and the engineer, both of them are sitting together and developing products. So until that happens, it'll be difficult for us to come with fundamental innovations.
That's what we are trying to do through our innovation council.
Even if
yes, sir.
Even if they start thinking and give some ideas, that it's also good. So, like Dr. Sandal, people are there who can take into the product development. So sometimes they may not know what our problem is.
Yeah.
Like measuring the eye pressure. Probably it is based on the diameter of the optical disc or something. This principle on which you measure the eye pressure for glaucoma.
We are doing actually visual field testing. We are not doing the pressure measurement. So we do this visual field test for glaucoma, which is based on how much field of view you have and what is the sensitivity in that field of view.
The smart eye, probably you are directly stimulating the brainstem with your device.
Yes, correct.
Because a person who cannot see it through the eyes, his brain will be seeing probably the impulse may directly stimulating the brain.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that's neurological based visual field. We are in fact working on that with a IIT based professor. Yeah.
Smart eyes, you said with those who cannot see properly.
For low vision.
So that is most important actually. That if they start thinking, definitely they will try to be in that path of innovation and try to develop something with the help of engineers. They have to learn to work in team, and then something will come out. That's what I really feel.
I also think, if there can be some guest visit to, let's say, there is Atal Incubation Center in Pondicherry University or AMTZ or places like these. There are a lot of startups, or in fact, I'm in T-Hub, Hyderabad. So if you come to Hyderabad, T-Hub or places like these, you see a lot of startups working on a lot of things, and that will, kind of give you a perspective of what all is even possible, what all even can be done, and how things are made. So those kind of exposure will help them to think, "Acha, this is also possible, and let me try this, let me do this," or they can connect eventually with a lot of people working in similar field, and something can come out. But it is difficult thing, almost 8 or 9 out of 10 startups would die within 3 years. So it is difficult to sustain and take it as a company.
But they can think of positive side of that, no? That people have, like you have done something great innovations, and you have got award from abroad, like from Switzerland, you got a best startup award. So same these positive things they have to look at, and if they have ideas, most of the time the fear is whether my idea will work or not. They have to come out of that fear. That will motivate them to go forward. And looking at you, I think they will learn this lesson that they have to come out of fear, and they will start walking on that path without looking back.
I think very true, very true.
Yeah.
That's I think one of the most critical part, where you are not sure whether your idea is going to work or not, but you have to keep on putting effort, and until you really validate it in hospital or with some clinician or somehow. So yeah, that's definitely one difficult part of this whole thing.
And once you are into that, you will go on taking inputs from the people who are expert in that, and definitely something will come out of that.
Very true, yes.
But we have to try first. That's what is actually, I think, looking at you, our students should take this message. Even the guy earlier who spoke, Mr. Krishnakant, he was telling how he started thinking about production of, he is a mechanical engineer, and he is the one who is into this production of medical devices. And you people thought that cost is going up for medical treatment, and that is because of our devices are so expensive, and we have to invest in these devices. And if it becomes affordable, naturally it will be accessible to everyone, including in rural area.
Very true.
Last week, last impact lecture, we had one Dr. Manjunath. Just a minute. What's it, Aarti? From Niramai. Niramai is Sudha Manjunath. And he is the one who thought about breast cancer diagnosis at earlier stage. So he has done a lot of work in rural area, Niramai.
Yeah.
So such things are really motivating,
Yes,
we must think in that direction.
And government actually is very supportive at the moment. As a doctor, if you come up with an idea, there are multiple grants available, starting from 1 lakh rupee to in fact 50 lakh rupee to a crore. So you can take a lot of grants, which is essentially free money, right? They give you money to build your prototype, to build your project. You need not to know everything. If you have an idea, you can take money, you can give it to an engineer, give as a consultant, give it to an engineer and do it. You need not do it yourself. And especially since these grants are overcrowded by engineers, right? If you go as a doctor, they'll be very happy and supportive to you.
No, doctors are always, they are little pessimistic. So far as getting these grants or publishing their research, they are not like open like engineers that, okay, whatever happens, let us do it. They are not like that. They are always conservative. So any questions? And what is the impact of these lectures? Can I hear from you people?
Good afternoon. I'm Muskan. And first of all, I would like to say how inspiring it was to hear about how you have succeeded in this field, especially coming from someone as young as you. It has given us a lot of motivation to pursue a field like innovation in healthcare. And apart from that, since you started thinking about this in college and you essentially began when you were in college, and we are all students right now, do you have any advice on how we can go about and pursue this in case we have any sort of ideas? How can we convert it into reality as effortlessly as you have?
Sure. So I actually think, the college is the best time to start anything, because in college you don't have fear of losing, right? See, let's say I get out of college, if I'm a doctor, if I if I practice somewhere, or if I'm an engineer, I take up a job in a particular IT company, right? Then it's so difficult. You get in that comfort zone. You get your pay slips every month, and you get into that comfort zone. It's very difficult to get out of that. While in college, even if you try something and if it doesn't work out, right, you always have your placements or your practice and everything that you can always join. So college is actually the best time of joining, of starting something or starting an innovation, because failure won't be too costly there. And of course, as doctors, you would have hundreds of ideas. So what I realized is, a lot of doctors actually, they would have idea, but they'll not realize something like this exists in the US or exists in the Europe, and we are not just buying that because of cost. So cost cutting cannot be the only purpose of a startup, very frankly, because as normal people or as laymen, we don't understand how much expensive it is to get a medical device done, right? There are hundreds of tests you have to go through. There is so many certification and so many processes to follow. So there is a cost of developing medical device, plus there is a cost of making it real and getting it into market, which is very high. To give you some numbers, if we sell a device, if any medical device company sells a device for, let's say, 100 rupee, the actual manufacturing cost of the device is less than 20 rupee. And if it's a pharma company, selling a drug for 100 rupee, the actual manufacturing cost is less than 5 rupee. Right? But we sell it so expensive, not because we are Ambanis, but because there is a lot of cost involved that is very invisible, right? Putting those salespeople, marketing about it, going to all these conferences, publicizing. So a lot of costs are involved there, and especially the R&D cost. Any medical device, any pharma company would spend a lot of amount in R&D. So to answer your question, this is the best time for you guys to start, first thing. And secondly, how to get started. So if you have an idea, reach out to people who are especially from engineering background, who can help you realize these ideas or make a prototype. For example, in Pondicherry University, there is something called Atal Incubation Lab. So there, you can reach out to them. Vishnu is there, very, very nice guy. And he's very helpful also, right? He'll not say kalana parsan and I don't have time and all these things. Right away, he'll help you guys there. So you can reach out to people like this, or if you want, if you have something, feel free to put a mail to me. I can connect you to someone in VIT. So Dean at VIT University is our mentor. He's also in our company. So having connecting to some engineering minds, connecting to people who can do engineering for you would be important. As doctors, you can give them idea, and once you have even a basic prototype, you can apply for a grant, because getting a grant, getting money in hand will allow you to take more professional help.
Maybe getting some engineers to do their prototype in our college also may stimulate the students. So once we develop our incubation center, right, then probably we can get some people to work in the college also. So we can give some facilities which may stimulate our students. So they really need to be connected with somebody. But the idea should come from the brain. So we should develop the idea. Then, we can connect with the people so that it can be taken forward. Because we cannot expect the doctor to work like an engineer, because the way they are trained are different.
Exactly.
But the idea is given, they will make the system for you or the prototype for you. And it should be a joint venture, like I think you have said, Aravind Eye Hospital. Got a very large workload, patient load. So any instrument you want to test immediately, you can do test. So many people.
Actually, Vishnu is there in Atal Incubation Center. He said that he can set up some training, sessions also for our students. And
Okay.
definitely he is ready to collaborate also. So we have so many avenues, but our students should utilize that. Then only we can move
Yeah, I
forward.
think most important would be students to come up with, at least 4 or 5 students to come up with a few ideas, because if those can be taken forward as a batch, something like that, and they can be nurtured, right? Eventually more people will see that and get inspired.
Yes, yes.
Because
That's what I feel.
COVID problem, we could not do it very active participation. I think now it is plus minus, sometimes going up, sometimes COVID. So much little better. I think we should take our students and show them, then get them in our college so that it will stimulate.
Yeah.
So moving forward.
Thank you, sir. It was very inspiring to hear you talk, and you have definitely given us a lot to think about. And I will definitely, we will make sure that we pursue and go ahead with our ideas, given, as you said, college is actually the best time to start. So thanks a lot, sir, for talking to us and giving us your time. It really has created an impact. And moving on, I would like to invite our convener of IIC, Dr. Pushpa Kotur, to summarize some of the key points from this very stimulating session.
Thank you, Muskan. In fact, I was really delighted to hear both young speakers, Mr. Krishnakant as well as Mr. Sandal. They have started their career right from the studentship, and they started thinking about these innovations and devices and a problem which we face as doctors, or problems which patients face, maybe because of safety problem or affordability. And they have to look, not only they have to look at the cost of the device or cost of the medicine, whatever it is, they have to look at safety also. Mr. Krishnakant, he walked through that AMT set, Andhra Pradesh MedTech zone, how it works, how the ecosystem is, what all facilities are there, 3D printing, electromagnetic center, for then there are different things which will support your prototype development. So, and he also made us walk through the incubation center, and in the incubation center, what all is happening. Then he gave us overall view of how this design thinking works, how your ideas you should bring forward, how you have to think about empathy, with empathetically about what problems are there while designing that. You have to take all these things into consideration and test it so that it becomes a safe and affordable device. And I was really happy to say that during COVID time, they made so many innovations. Like they had iLab for testing our tips they are in rural areas. They have O2 Home app from which can be installed in the mobile for getting the oxygen concentrated. You know what situation whole India at that time we went through during this, especially during second wave of COVID. And also OxyWheel, mobile oxygen generator. So many, and now they are not only just from shortage, we are not moving out, but we are exporting also. They are into production of 40 concentrated every day, about 500 40 concentrated, about 100 ventilators, RT-PCR million kits, and 5,000 PPE kits. All these are being exported now. So we are really proud to be Indians. We have people like that who can do this. So make in India is not only possible because of these people like Krishnakant or Sandal, but we can make our India also global in global marketing also. So that is more important. And we, as an Indian, we look at our people who are staying more of almost about 80% of our Indian population is in rural area. And we are looking at them, they are not getting proper medical treatment, they cannot afford, they cannot access the whatever facilities there in the cities. So this affordability and accessibility and strengthening the healthcare system is definitely in the hands of these people, and they have done that. And we have to get collaborated with these people, and we have to try to be in the same path so that we also will be a part of Make in India. And I was delighted to know that Sandal didn't have even money to participate in the conferences. But how God helps, you know. Dr. Venkateshwar was there, then his friends were there. Somehow he could make out some loan. So we have to think that whatever idea we have, we should work from the heart on it. And definitely someone is there to help you. He has done so many innovations in this short period. I can tell you whatever amount of years of experience I have, it is more than his age. But I'm really happy to say that salute these people for doing such a wonderful job. He has realized that visual this thing impairability of the visually impaired people's pain. He has designed that device, smart glass. Then he realized what difficulty we doctors see. So he has devised that camera, this thing, visual reality camera. So that too, he is getting good response because he has worked, putting his heart and brain, everything together. So Pudiview 2018, just 4 years old it is. But I think he has started exporting it, right?
Yes.
So this is what is important. So our students should take message that how these people have worked, we have to work. And if you want, you should visit their CV. Actually, I went through his CV yesterday. Dr. Sandal as well as Krishnakant, today only we came to know that he's talking. But I was really delighted to see all their, progress and their way of thinking and the way, like you say, in share market, like bulls there, whatever it happens, let us see and we will go ahead. Right, Sandal?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what is very important. So thank you very much, Sandal. And in absentia, I thank Mr. Krishnakant also. He has to leave little early. So that's all. Thank you so much for this opportunity given to me, Muskan.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you guys for organizing this great session, and looking forward. Feel free to reach out if you would like to discuss some ideas. If you think ye ho sakta hai, nahi ho sakta, and things like that, and we'll be able to help. Yeah.
You are frequently visiting Pondicherry?
At least once a month, I do visit Aravind. Yeah.
Oh, once I want you to talk to our student in a physical mode.
Definitely, ma'am. Next time I'm in Pondicherry, I'll let you know. We can plan the session.
Yeah, and it will be a small group. Those who are really interested, we will talk to them only.
That'll be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. And I would now like to invite our president of IIC, Dr. Vishnu Bhatt, for the closing remarks.
Yeah, good morning to everybody. I think we had a very interesting talk from both of them, Mr. Krishnakant and Mr. Sandal Kotwala. They have, I think, that Mr. Sandal was very close to us because he is often coming to Pondicherry, visiting Aravind Eye Hospital. probably we should have taken advantage of that and extended this visit a few kilometers away, not very far off. So probably it would have stimulated more earlier. But these are basically impact pictures. I think it should impact on our students and faculty members to develop these projects. And I'm sure that their talks and achievements, it will motivate many of us to do good things in the future. And as I told in the earlier, it is not necessary that we have to do things ourselves. We have to develop an idea and we have to tell the problem in such a way they understand and develop the product. So because we may not be able to do the product ourselves because this artificial intelligence requires engineering background. So if you tell our problem, then they will work on it. So looking at the problem is important. Many times we always try to live with problems. We say, okay, it's okay, it doesn't matter. So till somebody tells it's a problem and there's a solution, we keep thinking it's okay. So I think we start thinking from okay to how it can be made better by getting new ideas. I'm sure that our students will do well in the future. And thank you very much for giving the inspirational talk to our students, for both of them, Krishnakant and Mr. Sandar. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. To conclude this day, I would like to invite Ms. Sri Lakshmi from second year here to convey the vote of thanks.
With due respect to the joining hands that made this meeting possible, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our guest speakers, Mr. M.B. Krishnakant, who enlightened us about technological aspect of medicine and aligned field, and a special thanks for inviting all of us to AMTZ campus. We are really honored and delighted to take that opportunity out. And Mr. Sandal Kotawala for taking the time to join us and for briefing us about his development of C3 field analyzer. On behalf of our team, I would like to thank our Dean, Professor Dr. P.F. Kotu sir, our respected Dean HP ma'am, Dr. Mahalakshmi ma'am, our Vice Principals, Dr. Rajan sir and Dr. Arunachalam sir, and I would like to thank our President of IIC, Dr. Vishnu Bhatt sir, and our convener of IIC, Dr. Pushpa Koto ma'am, for guiding us and making this meeting a success. I also extend my thanks to all behind the technical team for their support. And lastly, I would like to thank our faculty members and audience for their support and participation. Thank you.
We will end the session now.
Any question anyone has got? Can we close this meeting? Aarti,
Yes.
you want everyone to put their videos on?
Ma'am, I have taken it, ma'am, but there were 102 students. Now I have taken the screenshot, ma'am.
Okay. So can we close this meeting?
Yes, ma'am, we can close the meeting, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Muskan, all your team.
Thank you, ma'am.
A second, thank you. So shall we log off?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
We can log off.
We can
So
log
for
off.
recording, we have kept it with Dean HP, ma'am. So I have to call her and tell the staff over there to switch off. So we can leave, sir. I'll just call and tell them. Thank you, sir.